The lights on the research ship Nova's Eye glowed dim in the quiet stretch of deep space. Most of the crew had gone to sleep after a long day of data scans. But a young human engineer named Ethan sat alone in his room, staring at his ceiling. He couldn't sleep. For the third night in a row, he had the same strange dream. A dream about a girl he had never met. She wasn't human. She had pale blue skin, soft eyes that seemed to hold stars inside them, and long, glowing white hair. In the dream, she never said anything. She just stood there, looking at him. Sometimes, she smiled. Other times, she looked sad, like she was trying to tell him something but couldn't find the words. Ethan had no idea why he kept seeing her. He hadn't watched any alien vids, and he'd never met a real alien up close. His team worked in deep space, away from most alien contact. Their job was boring: scan asteroids, collect energy data, fix broken panels. And yet, every night, she came into his dreams like she belonged there. The next morning, he told himself not to think about it. He walked through the narrow hallways of the ship, tools strapped to his belt. His partner, a loud and cheerful guy named Kyle, waved at him from behind a control panel. "Another bad night?" Kyle asked with a grin. "Not bad. Just weird dreams," Ethan replied, rubbing his eyes. "Space dreams again. Giant space cows or flying robots?" Kyle laughed. Ethan smiled a little. "No, just a girl." "Lucky you," Kyle teased. "Hope she's cute." Ethan didn't answer. It felt surreal to joke about. Later that day, during a sensor sweep, the ship picked up a strange signal. It wasn't strong, but it was steady, coming from a small rocky belt, not far from their position. The signal matched no known language. It was just a low hum, repeating every few seconds. The captain ordered a drone to scan the source. Minutes passed, then the drone sent back images. It showed a small silver pod lodged between two floating rocks. The pod was old, but still running. Faint energy leaked from it. "Could be a survival pod," the captain said. "Prepare to bring it aboard." Ethan helped guide the pod into the docking bay. When it landed, everyone stood around in silence. A medical team opened it carefully. Inside, lying still, was the same alien girl from Ethan's dreams. His heart stopped. "What in the stars?" Ethan whispered. Her eyes were closed, her breathing slow. She looked peaceful, like she was sleeping. She wore a soft white outfit with symbols no one could read. Her skin was smooth, her features delicate. Ethan couldn't believe it. This wasn't possible. "She's alive," one of the doctors said. "Low pulse, stasis-like condition. Her body protected itself." "How long has she been in there?" the captain asked. "Hard to say. Maybe years." Ethan stepped forward slowly, unsure if he should speak. I've seen her before." Everyone turned to look at him. "In my dreams," he added quickly. "For the past 3 nights." "Dreams?" Kyle said, frowning. "You sure? Positive? Exactly like her? Her face, her eyes, even that mark on her cheek?" The room grew quiet. Some crew members looked at each other with doubt. Others looked nervous. The captain stared at Ethan. "You didn't see this pod before." "We just found it." "I know," Ethan said, "but I saw her." They moved the alien girl to the medical bay. Doctors began scanning her, trying to learn more. She didn't wake up, but her brain activity was rising. "Strong dream waves," they said, "more active than normal sleep." That night, Ethan fell asleep quickly. In his dream, she was there again. But this time, she was closer. She reached out her hand, touched his face, and whispered his name, "Ethan." He woke up gasping. His heart raced. His room was dark, but he felt something different, like a warmth around him, even though he was alone. The next morning, when he walked into the medical bay, one of the doctors looked at him strangely. "Did you see anything last night?" the doctor asked. "Why?" "Because while she was asleep, she said your name. Twice. We have it on the audio log." Ethan stood frozen. "Whoever she is," the doctor continued, "she's somehow linked to you." Ethan looked through the glass at the girl sleeping peacefully in the chamber. He didn't know how or why, but one thing was certain. She wasn't just a dream anymore. She was real, and she was here. Ethan couldn't focus during his morning tasks. Every wire he touched, every screen he read, brought his thoughts back to the alien girl. Her face had stayed with him not just from the dreams, but from the moment he saw her inside the pod. It wasn't just strange anymore. It felt like something was calling to him. After checking a power relay, Ethan made his way to the medical bay. He didn't plan to go there. His feet just took him. The doors opened with a soft hiss, and the doctors inside turned toward him. "You again," said Dr. Lena, the lead medic. She was kind but sharp-eyed. She hasn't woken up, but her brain waves are still active, stronger than ever. "Did she say anything else?" Ethan asked. Drive. Lena shook her head. "Just your name. But here's what's weird. We tested for psychic activity, mental links. Turns out she's projecting low-level dream signals. It's rare, but not unheard of in some alien species. Dream signals," Ethan repeated. "Yes, like she's reaching out, and for some reason, she picked you." Ethan stepped closer to the glass wall. Inside, the girl slept peacefully. Her white hair floated slightly, as if underwater. A soft light from the machines gave her skin a faint glow. "What if she needs something from me?" Ethan asked quietly. "Then we need to find out, Doctor," Lena replied. "You want to help?" He nodded. The doctor gave him a simple test headset. "Wear this while you sleep. It'll record your dream data and sync it with her signals. Maybe we'll catch something." That night, Ethan lay on his bed, headset in place. His room was quiet except for the low hum of the ship's engine. He closed his eyes and tried to relax. The dream came quickly. This time, it was different. He stood in a large open space, like a glass garden under a night sky filled with purple stars. The alien girl stood by a tree with glowing leaves. She turned to face him and smiled. "You came," she said. Her voice was soft and warm, like music. "Who are you?" Ethan asked. "I'm sorry I scared you," she said. "I didn't know who else to call. I was lost, afraid. But you heard me. How did you get into my dreams?" "My people can reach others through dreams when we are in danger. We send our minds out, searching for safety." "Why me?" "Because you listened." Ethan took a step forward. "Are you really here, or just in my mind?" "Both," she said gently. "My body sleeps, but my heart is awake." He wanted to ask more, but the dream began to fade. Her image grew distant. Her hand reached out, and he tried to hold on. "Don't go," he called out. He woke up. His room was quiet, but a small light blinked on the headset. Recording complete. Ethan ran to the medical bay, where Dr. Lena and two other techs were already watching the data stream. "We got it, Doctor," Lena said. "A full connection. Audio, emotional sync, even visual traces. You weren't imagining it. She really spoke to you. She said she was looking for someone. She was scared. Her people send dreams when in danger." Drive. Lena nodded. "That matches some ancient records. They're called the Valeri, a peaceful species with dream-based contact. Most believe they disappeared long ago." "She said she was looking for safety," Ethan added. "And she found me." The doctor looked thoughtful. "Then we need to make sure she knows she's safe." They adjusted her chamber and added dream support systems to help her stay stable. Meanwhile, the captain allowed limited contact. Ethan was now part of her care team. As days passed, the bond between Ethan and the alien girl grew. Each night, they met in dreams, sometimes walking through beautiful alien gardens, sometimes sitting by silent lakes under glowing skies. She shared her name, Ori. In those dreamscapes, Ori taught him about her people. She showed him flashes of her world, crystal towers, floating cities, music that traveled through air like color. She had been escaping war. Her pod was damaged, and her mind reached out across space, hoping someone would hear. Ethan had. On the fifth night, Ori looked at him in the dream and said, "You make me feel safe, like home." "You are safe now," Ethan replied. But when he woke, something was different. He turned slowly. Ori was there. Not in the dream. Not in the pod. She was sitting at the edge of his bed. Awake. Real. and watching him with the same gentle eyes he had seen 100 times. Ethan sat up slowly, his heart beating fast. Ori was there. Not a dream, not a vision. She sat on the edge of his bed, her pale blue skin glowing softly in the dim light. Her white hair flowed down her shoulders, and her eyes looked calm but filled with deep emotion. "Uri?" he whispered, unsure if he was still dreaming. She nodded slowly. "I found my way. Your dreams helped me wake." How did you get here?" he asked. She looked down at her hands. "The dreams were strong. You gave me strength. I followed." The bond. Ethan rubbed his face, still trying to make sense of everything. "Does anyone else know you're awake?" "No," she said. "I woke up an hour ago. The room was cold. I felt scared, so I came here." He looked at her, unsure what to say. She had somehow walked across the ship alone. The medical bay was on another floor. How had no one seen her? "Ori, this isn't safe. If the crew sees you outside the medical bay, they might panic. They don't trust me," she said quietly. "They don't know you yet," Ethan replied. Ori stood up and walked slowly around his small room, touching the walls, the chair, the blanket on his bed. "You dream of lonely things," she said. Ethan blinked. "What? In your dreams, I see it. Silence. Cold halls, empty stars. You don't belong with the others." Ethan didn't answer right away. What she said was true. He'd always felt like the quiet one, the outcast. He loved machines more than people, and out here, in deep space, he felt even more alone. But not when she was near. "I'll take you back," he finally said. "They need to check your health." They were worried. Ori stepped close to him. "I trust you, Ethan. I'll go where you go." He led her carefully through the back halls of the ship. Most of the crew was still asleep or working in different sections. No one noticed as they moved quietly through the maintenance path. When they reached the medical bay, Dr. Lena was inside, going over reports. The doctor jumped when she saw them. "Ethan," she said sharply. "What is she? How did she?" "She woke up on her own," Ethan said quickly. "She found her way to my room. She wasn't trying to escape. She was scared." Ori bowed her head gently to Dr. Lena. "Thank you for caring for me." The doctor stared at her, surprised. "You speak only to those who dream," Ori replied softly. Lena took a deep breath, then nodded. "All right, let's get you checked. No sudden moves, okay?" Ori sat quietly on the bed while the machine scanned her. Her body was weak from long sleep, but her heart rate and brain signals were strong. She was healing faster than anyone expected. "We still don't know how she left the stasis chamber on her own," Dr. Lena whispered to Ethan. "But I think you've become her anchor. Someone her mind connected to. Maybe it's part of how our species survives long sleep." Ori looked at them both. "My people call it dream bond. Rare, but powerful. When the bond is made, it cannot be undone." Ethan felt a strange mix of worry and wonder. "So we're linked forever?" "Not forever," Ori said. "Only as long as we choose it." The captain was informed soon after. At first, he was cautious. But when he spoke to Ori and saw how calm and respectful she was, he agreed to let her stay outside the chamber. She was given a small room next to Ethan's for monitoring. Days passed. Ori began walking around the ship with Ethan, watching the stars through the windows, learning human words, and asking questions about everything. She was quiet, gentle, and curious. The crew slowly began to accept her. Kyle, Ethan's partner, still wasn't sure. "You really trust her?" he asked. "One day, yes," Ethan replied. "She's an alien, man. She talks through dreams." "What if this is all part of some plan?" "It's not," Ethan said. "She's just trying to survive. Like us." That night, Ethan fell asleep early. In his dream, he stood in a field of silver grass under a moonlit sky. Ori stood beside him, smiling. "Thank you," she said, "for giving me a place to belong." "You gave me the same," Ethan replied. They walked side by side through the dream, and for the first time in a long while, Ethan felt like he wasn't alone. Ethan stood at the window of his quarters, watching the The stars drift past the Nova's eye. The hum of the ship's engines was calming, but his mind was elsewhere. It had been days since Ori had woken up. Every day she seemed to learn more about the human world, her curiosity never fading. At first, Ethan had been worried about how she would adjust, but now he wasn't so sure. She was adapting faster than anyone had expected. In the mornings, she walked with him to the crew mess, learning how to hold a cup, how to sit in chairs, how to speak basic human phrases. She picked things up quickly, and her soft voice would always ask questions that made Ethan think more deeply about his own life. One morning, as they sat in the mess hall, Ori looked at the crew with a curious expression. "Why do they speak so loudly?" she asked, her voice soft but confused. "They're just talking, Ori," Ethan explained, taking a sip of his coffee. "It's how humans communicate. But they make no sense," she said, pointing to a group of engineers across the room, laughing loudly. "Words don't match their feelings," Ethan chuckled. "Sometimes humans do that. Not everyone says what they mean." Ori smiled. "I like how you speak. Your words are calm. Your mind is quiet." He froze. Ori had always been calm, but this was different. She wasn't just observing. She was sensing. "My mind?" Ethan asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yes," she replied. "When I hear your voice, I feel peace. Not like the others. Their minds are loud. You're quieter." Ethan didn't know how to respond to that. He had never thought of himself as particularly calm. But Ori's words made him feel something. Her presence always seemed to calm him, even when everything around them was chaotic. Days turned into weeks. Ori spent more time with the crew, walking through the ship and even learning to help out with repairs. She had a natural talent for it, surprising everyone with her ability to understand the ship's systems. Ethan found himself growing more comfortable with her every day. There was a connection between them, something deeper than just the shared dreams. He could feel it in the way she looked at him, the way her presence seemed to fill the empty spaces in his heart. But there was something he couldn't understand. Ori was different from the other people on the ship, different from any being he had ever met. She was not just an alien, she was something more. And sometimes, when he caught her staring at him in silence, he felt a tug in his chest. Was this just the bond of the dreams, or was it something else? He wasn't sure. But he knew he was falling for her. That evening, Ethan was working in the engine room, fixing a damaged power conduit. Ori appeared beside him, her white hair glowing faintly in the dim light. She didn't speak at first, just watched him as he worked. "What's on your mind?" Ethan asked. Wiping sweat from his brow. She hesitated before answering. "I don't understand it," she said softly. "When I look at you, I feel something warm." Ethan set down his tools, turning to face her. "I feel it too." Her gaze softened, and she took a step closer. "It is more than a dream, Ethan. More than a bond." He swallowed, unsure of where this was going. "What do you mean, when I dream?" "You are there. But when I am awake, I am still connected to you. Your thoughts, your feelings, they are always with me." Ethan's heart raced as the words sank in. The bond between them was more than just a shared dream. It was a deeper connection that neither of them fully understood. "I don't know what to do with this," he said quietly, his voice shaky. "I'm not used to feeling this way." "You are not alone in this," Ori replied. "I feel it too. I have never known peace until you." They stood there for a moment, staring at each other. The ship seemed to hold its breath as the unspoken connection between them grew stronger. Ethan reached out, unsure of what would happen if he did, but his hand found Ori's. Her skin was cool to the touch, but it felt right. In that moment, Ethan realized that he couldn't go back to life before Ori. She had changed everything for him, and though he didn't fully understand the bond between them, he knew it was something special. "I don't want to lose you," Ethan said, his voice barely above a whisper. "You won't," Ori replied, squeezing his hand gently. "I won't leave." But deep down, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger was coming. The connection they shared was undeniable. But what would happen if others learned the truth? What would the galaxy think of a human and an alien sharing such a deep bond? He didn't know, but he wasn't sure he cared. All he knew was that he had found something he never expected, something that made the loneliness of space bearable. As they stood there, side by side, the stars outside seemed to shine a little brighter. Whatever came next, Ethan knew he wasn't facing it alone. The days on the Novas I felt different now. Ethan had grown used to Ori's presence. But it wasn't just the soft glow of her skin or her gentle voice that filled his thoughts. It was the way she made him feel when she was near. Everything else seemed to fade. Her calmness, the way she understood him without words. He couldn't remember the last time he felt this connected to someone. But as much as Ethan wanted to believe this bond was just something natural, something that happened because of the dreams, he couldn't ignore the growing tension between them. Every time Ori smiled, every time she touched his arm or looked into his eyes, he felt a pull. It was more than friendship, more than anything he had ever known before. One evening, after a long day of work, Ethan found himself walking beside Ori in the quiet corridors of the ship. The stars outside the windows sparkled, a soft light casting shadows on their faces. It was peaceful, almost too peaceful, as though the whole universe had stopped just for them. Ethan, Ori spoke softly, breaking the silence. Her voice was filled with something he couldn't quite place. Do you ever wonder what life would be like if you could hear every dream? If you could feel every thought from another being? Ethan looked at her. I don't know. It sounds overwhelming. It is, she said quietly. But sometimes, it's not enough just to hear someone's thoughts. Sometimes, I wish I could know what you feel. Truly feel, without the barrier between our minds. Her words struck Ethan deep. He had never thought about it like that. He had only felt the weight of their bond. But he had never considered what it meant for her. Ori had lived in isolation, drifting through the stars, unable to truly connect with anyone except through dreams. And now, she had found a connection with him. But was it the right connection? Do you feel alone? Ori, Ethan asked, his voice barely a whisper. She looked at him, her eyes filled with emotion. I did, before. But now, with you, I feel like I belong somewhere. With you, everything is different. It's like I'm not just a visitor in your world, but part of it. Her words made Ethan's chest tighten. He had never wanted anyone to feel alone, and yet here was Ori, telling him that he had given her something she had never known. Belonging. They reached the observation deck, and Ethan stopped. The stars stretched out before them, a never-ending sea of lights. He could feel her presence beside him. As though she was a part of everything around him, he turned to face her, heart pounding in his chest. I don't know what this is, Ethan admitted. I don't know what we are. But I can't stop thinking about you, every moment, every second. It's like you're always with me, even when you're not. Ori stepped closer, her hand brushing his gently. I feel the same way, Ethan. My dreams told me this would happen. The connection between us, it was always meant to be. But it's not just the bond, is it? Ethan said, his voice trembling. This feels real. It feels like something more than a dream. It is more. Ori said softly. Our bond goes beyond dreams. It is a promise, a joining of two souls, of two worlds. I cannot explain it, but I know it to be true. They stood in silence for a moment, the weight of her words sinking in. Ethan couldn't deny the feelings that had been growing inside him, the pull toward her, the desire to be close to her. He had never been a person who believed in fate or destiny, but this connection felt like it was meant to be. So, what do we do now? Ethan asked, his voice barely a whisper. Ori smiled softly, her eyes shining with understanding. We take it one step at a time. We explore this bond, and we let it guide us. Ethan reached for her hand, his fingers brushing against hers. When their hands finally met, a wave of warmth passed between them, and he knew, without a doubt, that this was the beginning of something that could never be undone. I don't want to let go, Ethan said quietly, his heart racing. You don't have to, Ori replied, her voice filled with a calm certainty. You never have to. In that moment, Ethan realized that everything had changed. The bond they shared was no longer just a strange connection between two beings from different worlds. It had become something deeper, something unspoken, yet undeniable. And as he stood there with Ori, his hand in hers, he knew that no matter what happened next, they would face it together. The stars outside the windows seemed to shine brighter than ever before. The Novazai continued its journey through the endless stretch of space. Time seemed to blur as Ethan and Ori spent more and more time together each day. They learned something new about each other. For Ethan, it was a mixture of excitement and confusion. The more he learned about Ori, the more he realized how much he didn't understand about their bond. It was as if the universe had somehow decided that their fates were intertwined, and now he couldn't escape it even if he wanted to. But the truth was, he didn't want to. Ori had become his anchor. Her presence grounded him in a way that nothing else ever had. She wasn't just an alien from another world, she was someone who saw through the surface and connected with him in a way that was beyond words. She had been lost, wandering through dreams, and now that she was awake, Ethan felt like he was discovering parts of himself he didn't even know were there. One evening, after finishing a routine scan of the ship's systems, Ethan walked through the quiet corridors. The soft hum of the ship filled the air, and the stars outside twinkled like distant diamonds. He found Ori in the observation deck, looking out at the endless blackness of space. She was always drawn to it, the way a bird might be drawn to the sky. "Hey," Ethan said quietly, stepping beside her. "What are you thinking?" She looked at him, her eyes soft and peaceful. "I'm trying to understand it all. How I ended up here, with you. I never imagined my journey would bring me to this place." "You're not alone anymore," Ethan said, his voice steady. "I'm here." "Yes," Ori whispered. "But sometimes I still feel lost. Even with you." Ethan was taken aback. "You feel lost, but you're here, with me. We're safe." "I'm here with you," she replied, "but my mind is still far away. The dreams, the memories, they haunt me. They remind me of the pain of losing my world." Ethan moved closer to her, his hand brushing against hers. "I can't imagine what it must have been like for you, drifting through space, alone. But you're not alone anymore, Ori. Not while I'm here." She took a deep breath, looking up at the stars again. "It's strange, Ethan. I've seen so many worlds in my dreams, and yet none of them feel like home. Not until I came here." He smiled, reaching out to hold her hand. "Maybe home isn't a place. Maybe it's a feeling. And maybe, for both of us, this is what it feels like." Ori squeezed his hand, a faint smile appearing on her face. "I think you're right. Home isn't a place. It's where we feel connected, where we feel safe." They stood there for a long time, the silence between them comfortable and natural. Ethan didn't have all the answers, but he knew one thing: he wanted to be with Ori. Whatever the future held, he wanted to face it with her by his side. The next morning, the crew was alerted to a sudden energy spike coming from a nearby sector. It wasn't a threat, but it was enough to require their attention. Ethan and Ori joined the rest of the team as they navigated the ship toward the source of the disturbance. As they reached the area, Ethan felt a strange sense of unease. Something about the energy signature felt wrong. It wasn't just an anomaly, it was as if something was trying to reach them. "We're not alone out here," Ori said, her voice calm but with an edge of concern. "What do you mean?" Ethan asked, looking at her. "The energy is calling. It's not just random," Ori explained, her eyes scanning the data on the screen. "It's like someone is trying to communicate." The ship's sensors went wild as they approached the source. Ori's presence next to Ethan felt even more powerful now. She seemed to sense things before anyone else, her connection to the universe growing stronger with each passing day. "We need to be careful," she warned. "This isn't just a glitch, this is intentional." The crew tightened their focus, and the ship moved cautiously toward the origin of the disturbance. Ori's hand found Ethan's again, and for a brief moment, he felt the quiet strength of their bond. Suddenly, the communication system buzzed to life, and a voice echoed through the ship. It wasn't human. "This is your warning," the voice said, cold and distant. Stay away from our space. This is your only warning. Everyone on the ship froze. Who are they? One of the crew members asked. I don't know, Ori said, her voice low. But I've heard this voice before, in my dreams. Ethan turned to her. You've heard them? She nodded slowly. They've been watching us. They've been watching me. This is the danger I've been running from. They are the ones who destroyed my world. The crew was silent. The weight of Ori's words hung heavy in the air. They had no idea what kind of enemy they were about to face. We need to leave, Ori said urgently, her voice sharp. They are not just a threat to us, they are a threat to everything. Ethan's heart pounded in his chest. Whatever was out there, it was coming for them. And now, he had to protect Ori. Protect the only person who had ever truly understood him. The ship's sensors continued to buzz with activity. The warning from the unknown voice echoed in the control room, filling the air with tension. Everyone on the crew was on edge, their eyes glued to the monitors as they tried to make sense of the situation. But the words from the mysterious voice still hung heavily in the air. Stay away from our space. This is your only warning. We need to go, the captain said, his voice steady but urgent. Now, the crew scrambled into action, adjusting the ship's course, preparing for a hasty retreat. Ethan stood beside Ori, his mind racing. Her words earlier had been haunting. They are the ones who destroy my world. Are you okay? Ethan asked, softly, his hand finding hers. Ori nodded, though her face was filled with concern. I'll be fine. But we're not just running from them. They will follow us, Ethan. They always do. Who are they? Ethan asked, his voice barely above a whisper. They are called the Varker, Ori replied, her voice distant. A ruthless species that destroys everything in its path. They have no mercy. They've been hunting me for years, ever since my world fell. And now they've found me again. The words sent a chill down Ethan's spine. The Varker were not just a threat, they were a force of destruction. The kind of enemy no one could face alone. How do we stop them? Ethan asked, his eyes fixed on Ori. We don't, she said, her voice quiet. We can only outrun them, for now. But as the ship powered up to make its escape, Ori's eyes narrowed, and she suddenly turned to Ethan. They're here, she said with certainty. Ethan's heart raced. The ship's sensors had detected something large heading toward them. But it wasn't showing up on any known radar systems. It was as though it was cloaked, hidden from view. Where? Ethan asked, his grip tightening on her hand. Behind us, Ori said. They are closing in. The crew scrambled to prepare for what was coming. The engines hummed loudly as the ship pushed forward, trying to outrun whatever was following them. But Ethan could feel the growing pressure in the air. Something was closing in on them, something much more dangerous than anything they had ever faced. They found us, Ori whispered, her voice tensed. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the ship. The lights flickered, and the alarms blared. As the entire vessel shook, Ethan stumbled, grabbing a nearby console for support. What the hell was that? Kyle shouted from across the room. They've attacked, Ori said, her face pale. They've breached the ship. Panic swept through the crew. Ethan looked at Ori, and without thinking, he ran to the command center. We need to defend the ship. Prepare for battle, he ordered. But as he entered the control room, a horrifying sight greeted him. The screen showed a massive ship, the Varker warship, looming in the distance. It was a monstrous, dark silhouette against the stars, its weapons aimed directly at them. They're not playing around, Ethan muttered, his hands shaking as he typed commands into the ship's system. We have to fight back. It's no use, Ori said, stepping up beside him. Our weapons won't hold them off for long. We need to get out of here, now. But just as she spoke, another attack rocked the ship, this time more powerful. Sparks flew from the console, and the ship's engine sputtered. We've lost power to the main thrusters, the captain called out, his voice laced with urgency. We're dead in the water. Then we need to go somewhere else, Ori said, her voice sharp. I know a place, a hidden system where they can't find us. But we have to make the jump. Now, do you know how to get there? Ethan asked, turning to her. Yes, she replied. I can guide us. But we need to be fast, If we're caught in this sector, it'll be too late. Ethan didn't hesitate. He looked at the crew, then back to Ori. Do it, Ori nodded. Her eyes focused. She began to speak in a soft, melodic tone, language Ethan had never heard before, but somehow he understood. The ship's navigation system hummed as it followed her instructions, preparing for a jump into the unknown. Hold on, the captain shouted as the engines flared back to life, the ship lurching forward. They jumped. The stars outside stretched into bright lines as the ship broke through space and time, faster than the eye could follow. Ethan gripped the armrest tightly, feeling the strain on his body. The Varker warship's pursuit faded as they made the jump, leaving them in a new, quiet part of space. When the ship finally came to a stop, Ori exhaled in relief. We're safe. For now, she said, her voice calm but tired. Ethan looked at her, his heart still racing. Are we really safe? For now, she said softly, but they will come after us again. The Varker never stopped. Ethan's mind raced. The enemy was still out there, and they were far from done. But for the first time since meeting Ori, he felt a glimmer of hope. Whatever was ahead, they would face it together. We'll be ready, Ethan said, looking at her with determination. We'll protect each other. And for the first time, he truly believed it.